All right, Brad, we've had a couple of questions show up about VCS AutoStart policies. What can you tell us about them?
All right. So AutoStart policies come into play whenever an HA start is done. Right? So whether you're booting a box and it's going through the normal startup scripts and the HA start then gets done that way, or you're manually doing an HA start. Whenever that happens, that's when AutoStart policy kicks in for service groups. Now, as you know, for a service group, one of the key required attributes is system list. And that basically says what systems that this service group can run on. So, for example, let's say that there's 4 systems that you want this service group to run on. And that comes into play when you're doing failover. That doesn't have anything to do with the service group initially starting up. Again, that's at HA start time. So there's another attribute very similar to system list called AutoStart List. And now that's the set of systems that you want the service group to start up on at HA start time. Now, whether it starts up on one system or multiple systems depends on what type of service group it is. So let's say that system list was S1 through S4, but we only wanted the service group to possibly start up on S1, S2, or S3. We didn't want it to ever start up on S4. Well, we would make sure that isn't an AutoStart list. Right? Now, how VCS picks a system, again, as I mentioned, depends on what type of service group it is. This really only comes into place when it's a failover service group. A failover service group can only be running on one system at a time versus a parallel that is going to get started up on all systems in the system list. And in fact, typically, system list and AutoStart list are one and the same when you have a parallel service group. So really, when we're talking about AutoStart policies, we're only talking about a failover service group. So here's our possible candidates. Now it depends on AutoStart policy.
And this is another attribute, right?
Yes, another service group attribute.
Okay.
There's 3 types. First, it can be the default of order. What that says is the left to right order of what's in AutoStart list. So in this example, assuming all 3 of these guys are valid systems to start up on, for example, the system isn't frozen or the service group hadn't faulted, then if the AutoStart policy was order, this service group would start up on S1. The next type of AutoStart policy is priority. That comes into play with using system list. Right? Now with system list, you not only do you say with systems, but you also give each one a value. And with priority, the lower the number, the higher the priority. So let's say that the system list had S1, 400, etc. For AutoStart list, we would look at these systems and look at the priority within system list, and the lowest one would be the one they start up on. So in this example, we'd start up on S3. And the last AutoStart policy is called load. Now this one is rarely ever used because it's not a dynamic load like adaptive HA, it's actually a static load. So you assign each system a capacity, a possible capacity, and each service group a possible load, and VCS determines which system has the most available load. Again, these are static values, and it starts up on that. So typically, order or priority are the ones that are used.
Fantastic. Well, this is a really good, quick definition of how the AutoStart policies work in VCS. Brad, appreciate you taking the time to explain this to us.